Welcome to The Explainer. What a weekend in the Premier League. Seriously, we had a title race that got a massive psychological twist, some absolute tactical genius from the sidelines, and, well, one of the wildest 4-4 draws you will ever see. So let's get into it.
Yeah, this quote, it just nails it, doesn't it? It's about that absolutely bonkers game at Old Trafford. And you know what? That one match tells us so much. Not just about Manchester United, but about the crazy, chaotic direction this whole league is heading. But, okay, before we completely unpack all that chaos, let's start at the very top of the table. Because even though the points on the board didn't change, it feels like a huge psychological shift just took place in the race for the title. So Arsenal got the win against Wolves, but you can't let that last-gasp winner fool you. That celebration, it was pure unfiltered relief. Because the performance itself, well, it was a real struggle, and it actually raised some pretty serious red flags.
And this number right here is exactly why. 9. That's how many first-team players Arsenal are dealing with on the injury list, more than any other team in the entire league. That's not just a bit of bad luck, that's a full-blown crisis, and it is stretching their squad to its absolute breaking point. It explains everything about why they're having to just grind out these results.
And this just captures the tale of the two title contenders perfectly. The gap in points is the same, but the feeling, the momentum, it has completely shifted. While Arsenal were digging deep, just trying to survive, Man City, they look like they were just shifting into second gear, cruising with this really ominous confidence. You know the one. It's that classic mid-season City surge that we've all come to expect and dread.
So it all comes down to this, really. They've got this absolutely brutal festive fixture list coming up. How Arsenal gets through this period with this depleted squad, well, that could define their entire season. This is make or break time for them, no question.
Okay, so while all that's going on, let's talk about the team that's kind of flying under the radar. Everyone was talking about Mo Salah's insane goal record, and rightly so, but all that noise has kind of overshadowed a really crucial development. Liverpool are back. After a seriously rocky patch, they're now unbeaten in 4 games. And a huge reason for that is the return of Hugo Ekitike, who's been absolutely on fire. They are quietly but surely creeping back into this thing. All right, let's shift gears a bit. We're moving to the middle of the pack now to see how some tactical masterclasses from the managers really define some of the weekend's biggest results. I mean, this is where the real chess matches happened. So down at Chelsea, Enzo Maresca is doing something really fascinating tactically. He's basically using his fullbacks as central midfielders. They make these really unusual, arcing runs into the middle of the pitch, and honestly, opponents are finding them impossible to track. Malo Gusto was just popping up everywhere. It's a real headache to defend against.
Meanwhile, over at Aston Villa, Unai Emery basically gave a live-action lesson in adaptability. His first plan? It just wasn't working. So what does he do at halftime? He scraps it and completely changes his team's entire approach. They went from playing wide and patient to suddenly going direct and narrow, and it totally bamboozled West Ham and sealed an absolutely brilliant comeback win.
And that brings us right back to the game of the weekend, where the new Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim unleashed a tactical approach that, let's be honest, fans have been craving. But it's one that came with some seriously chaotic results. Just look at these numbers from the first half. His secret back four system, as Gary Neville was calling it, produced these incredible attacking stats. They were fluid, they were dangerous, they looked like a completely different team. This is the United fans have been crying out for.
But then, after going down in the second half, he just went for broke. Switched to this super aggressive 4-2-4 formation. And the result? Pure chaos. I mean, it was just end-to-end mayhem, creating these constant 4-on-4 situations all over the pitch. That game could have easily finished 6-6.
And finally, let's look at the teams who are under a totally different kind of pressure. This isn't about winning the title. This is about the intense struggle for form and, for some, the simple fight to survive in this league.
For Tottenham, this number is a massive cause for concern. 22 points. That is their worst start to a season in 15 years. And get this, they're actually on a worse trajectory now than they were under Ange Postecoglou at this exact same point last season. So yeah, the new manager bounce, it is well and truly over.
And look, this isn't just a blip, it's a really worrying trend. They're making more individual mistakes than anyone else in the league. They can barely create a chance away from home. And you can just see the confidence draining from the players. For Spurs fans, this kind of downward spiral is an all too familiar sight.
And for Newcastle, that tired Derby performance really suggests the physical toll of a Champions League campaign is starting to catch up with them. Eddie Howe's high-energy system, it kind of looks like it's running on fumes. The whole team just looks wiped out.
Now, down at the bottom of the table, Fulham are staying afloat with a very clear, and you could say, very risky strategy. They are simply winning the games they're absolutely expected to win. 12 of their 20 points have come from beating the newly promoted sides and the team at the bottom.
So what's the consequence of that strategy? Well, it means their entire survival hinges on winning these 6-pointers. And while it's working for them right now, it basically turns every single match against the team around them in the table into a high-stakes, must-win pressure cooker final. The pressure is just immense.
So, this weekend has set the stage perfectly. From the mind games in the title race to the dogfight at the bottom, the pressure is building everywhere. And as we head into this relentless festive schedule, it really all boils down to one simple question. Who has the tactics, the depth, and just the sheer nerve to survive the squeeze?